All of the tactics are based in science. This training is going to keep your officers safe.
Shots fired, hurry up, let's go!
Therefore, it's going to keep your community safe.
We want to heighten their survivability so they can go in there and do their job to save lives.
Kind of opens your eyes to all that. I was like, wow, that could have been a bad day.
Where's your first threat? Turn, drive.
But now I know.
The Raider program is designed specifically for law enforcement. We teach single officer engagement tactics for what officers can do by themselves responding to a violent intruder call, an active shooter event. These events have been increasing since the year 2000.
Time is not on our side in law enforcement.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired!
We want to make sure there's not a delay when they get on scene for waiting for multiple other officers to show up to be able to go in there and find that killer.
Step, turn, drive!
By definition, there can only be one first officer on the scene. So we have to train that one first officer and give that officer skills on how he can hunt down and interrupt or stop this guy from killing people.
Right!
We're based on psychology. We're based on how the mind processes sensory input, sight sensory input, auditory sensory input. We take all of that into account. The entire program is designed to give an officer every possible conceivable advantage. Although the classes generally might have 15 as high as 20 people in them, this is a single officer class. There is always a one-to-one student-teacher ratio.
The Raider program itself is built on three things. We have kinesiology, the study of human body mechanics. Basic geometry, where we maximize the use of our angles. By maximizing the use of the infrastructure, action versus reaction comes into play. Turning into rooms in a prescribed manner.
Gun up, eyes up, gun up!
Turning inside a room in a prescribed manner.
We run one person through a set of drills, through a set of exercises, and then we run the next and the next and the next. We begin getting those instructor candidates involved in actual training on the second day.
Drive that target 2 to 5 rounds.
One of the big comments we get out of this class is, this was the first instructor's class I've ever been to where I actually got to instruct.
They can now bring this back to their agencies. They've had this training here. I don't know of any officer that I've ever met with that has raised their hand and said, hey, I get enough training or I get too much training. That's a common problem with law enforcement.
You got all the time in the world right here.
We already know that we have a 1-to-1 kill-to-wounded ratio during active killer events. We already know that those events can happen anywhere. So the question becomes, how much is a human life worth?